They stepped on him while they was down there fishing for that big trout, and he's got a little crook in his back. Very nice, Steve. Okay, let's go right on in here and see what the next question is. Dear Bob, can you show me how to highlight my trees and bushes? I can't make the paint stick to the canvas. Once again, a very common problem, and we've said it over and over in this series. You need to start with a paint that is firm as you can find. It should be very, very firm and dry. A good way to test your paint is to take the cap off and squeeze the paint. It should stand about that high above the tube, roughly 3/4 of an inch. If it won't stand up by itself like that, chances are it's probably too thin for this technique. So test your paint. There should be no oil running out of it. It should be a very dry, firm paint. Now, if we start with a very firm paint, then it's much easier to put highlights on, because a thin paint, we can stick to a thick paint, but you can't reverse that. You have to start with a very firm paint. Okay, let's see if we can get Steve to make us some little bushes here. He's already got ahead of us.
I just took the liberty to go ahead and do it.
Well, all right. He's using the 2.5-inch brush. It would also work with a 1-inch brush, and we just drop in some basic shapes here. Okay. Steve, while you got all that on your brush, why don't you throw some color in the water and we'll show them how to make reflections too.
All right.
There. And all we've done is just drop the same basic shape right into the water. Good. What color did you use on that?
A little bit of sap green and Prussian blue.
Sap green and Prussian blue. Very dark, very nice color. Okay, you want to take your brush and pull those reflections down just a little bit. Now watch what happens when he does this. Good. Now keep them on the end smaller so they match what's above it. Okay. Let him clean the brush up here and we'll get ready to go right along. Now, I'm fixing to get splashed again. All right. So if you notice me having blue freckles from now on, you'll know why. Now here he's just making a horizontal stroke across to give it a watery appearance. Why don't you drop us a few little trunks in some of those trees there, Steve?
Okay.
And for that, we'll use the palette knife, a little bit of Van Dyke brown, and watch how he just drops them in. There. And you touch and just pull slightly to one side. There you go. Put some in the evergreens too, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Now, if you want to highlight these little tree trunks, we'll use a little brown and white. And just put a little bit of highlight on it. Now, our mountain tells us in this painting the light's coming from the right side. So we need to highlight the right side of the trunks also. Once you put that first stroke in the mountain, you've just determined where your light's coming from, everything else in this painting.
Okay.
Okay, now the other part of the question was is highlighting these. So why don't we use a 1-inch brush and let's show them real close here how to put some highlights on. Start with a little bit of magic white. That thins the paint down. And what are you using there, Steve?
Going into a little bit of yellow ochre.
Yellow ochre, okay. And notice the amount of paint he's loading into the brush. A lot of paint in the brush. Steve, why don't you hold the brush right up here against this dark area and let's show him real close what the brush looks like. Good. Look at the amount of paint in there. It's very, very full. Okay. Start at the very top because you want that to be the brightest part of your bush or tree. And begin laying in your highlight. And you need little patterns in here. Don't just throw them in at random. Now with the color that you pick up on your brush, you can go back through the yellows that he's using and sort of change it a little bit. Maybe, okay, what are we going to do here? Right there.
Maybe drop a bush over here.
Good. Isn't that a beauty? Okay, why don't you add a little sap green to that and let's see what we get. Okay, a little more of the magic white to thin the paint down. Okay, which one are you going to do now?
Oh, probably the one on the end.
There. Once again, go slightly above the dark. You don't want any shadows on top of the bush. Okay.
Okay, maybe try something different.
All right. Why don't you put us a couple more little bushes in there and let us see close up, and we'll Go right along here.
Maybe one with a little bit of orange in it.
Okay. Very nice. And notice how he's layering these bushes. This is what creates the depth in a painting. It's most important that you layer these bushes. There we go. Now, why don't you take a little of that same color and reflect it right into the water, Steve?
Okay.
And here you just reverse the brush and just put a basic bush tree right down into the water. Very gently. You don't have to use much pressure here. Good. Okay. Why, this son of a gun's quite a painter. I better watch out or he'll be on TV and I'll be home by myself. All right. Now, we can take a large brush and pull down very gently. 3 hairs and some air. There. There we go. Now just go across in a gentle horizontal stroke, and it creates the illusion of reflections that fast, that easy. Okay. Another problem that people run into quite frequently is putting land in. So I'm going to have Steve take a little bit of Van Dyke brown on the palette knife and show you how to lay some land underneath this. Okay, there he goes. We've got a little bit of brown. He starts at the small end, just barely touching. And notice how he follows the angles here, the lay of the land. That's very, very important, that you follow the lay of the land. And let it get larger as it goes back, and this will cause you to look into the painting. It leads the eye into the painting when you're looking at it. There. Okay. All right, Steve, why don't you take a little brown and white and make us a little highlight there so this stands out a little better. What color did you use for your highlight there?
Just a little bit of brown, a little bit of blue, and some white.
Okay, that was Van Dyke brown, I assume.
Yep.
Okay. Now, to sort of clean this up a little bit and straighten the bottom out and to separate it, we'll use a little bit more of the magic white and make us a little water line underneath it. Okay, remember how we load it? We just cut through it. And Steve's got a little magic white that has a little brown in it. There. This thin paint will flow off your knife. And as he said earlier, you push very hard. You really, really just act like you're trying to cut a hole right through the canvas. Okay. Good. Okay, Steve, why don't you run a few bushes down that bank?
Okay.
Just to clean up that nice straight edge. And I think you turned out a beautiful little painting here, just showing the answers to the questions. There we go. Beautiful. That breaks up that long straight edge, makes it a little more pleasing to the eye. Now, with the clean point of the knife, we can just cut in a few little sticks and bushes. So, Steve, just take the point of the knife and cut some little sticks in the bushes. Okay, and use a pretty firm pressure here and just cut them right in. Okay, that's very good. Now, do you know what let's do?
What's that?
Let's add a little bush right here and show them how far it'll push everything back. Just take one of your 2.5-inch brushes and drop us in some dark color right there real quick. Just a small little bush right here on the corner. It's always interesting to see how you can add one more plane. There we go, just a little one. There, a little Prussian blue. Van Dyke brown, sap green. There you go. Just let it go down at an angle a little bit.
Let me make a little row here.
All right, beautiful. Okay. Now, let's show them real quick how to highlight those, and that'll give you one more chance to see how these things are highlighted.
Drop a
little trunk in there with some Van Dyke brown. Now we can put some highlights on here. Now, when you're at home, you can use any color that you want to create all these beautiful little highlights. We're trying to use very bright colors here so they show up well on your screen. He's got a beautiful orange here. It's made from mixing a little cad yellow and a little bit of permanent red together. Good. There. Once again, layer these so you have depth in them. And look how much distance already this is creating in the painting. It really pushes everything back. It adds another plane to the painting. Okay. There we go. A little sap green, a little yellow. Very nice. Okay, a few little sticks in there with the point of the knife. And it's just a super way to show you how to add another plane into a painting. Okay, good. Well, Steve, what do you think of this painting?
Well, I think it's pretty good.
That's very nice. And I hope that everyone has enjoyed watching you answer the questions and do a beautiful little painting here. I'd like to close the show and take just a few minutes of your time. And I'd like to tell each and every one of you how much we appreciate you allowing us into your home, how much we appreciate you being with us each week. It's really a pleasure to be here to try to teach you this fantastic method. I'd like to also take a few moments and thank all of the fantastic people here at the station that have worked so hard to make this show possible. They put in a great deal of time, they work very hard, and I think they produce you a quality product. So on behalf of all of us here at the station, we'd like to wish each and every one of you happy painting. God bless. On behalf of my son, Steve, thanks for watching.
See you next time.